finally time. I think enough time has passed now. I can now give my long-term review on the Fuji X100V. Oh yes, let's get into it. I always think it's never a fair review if you've not used the camera for at least a year, and I've bought this camera back in June of last year, so it's been about roughly 15 months. So I think that's more than enough time to properly get to know the camera, you know. So quickly, what we're going to talk about in this video, we're talking about why I bought this camera, the performance, so like the lens, the build quality, the image quality, low light performance, video quality, and then we'll also talk about usability, durability of the camera, portability, and then lastly, things that I would like to see in the next version of the X100 camera. Woohoo! The reason why I bought it was because reduce my reliance on film, because as you know guys, film is getting stupid expensive. It's a very long process. So basically I want to save myself time, save myself some money in the long term by buying a digital camera. You know, the X-T3 is also a digital camera that I'm filming with right now. Of course I could just use that, but I wanted the X-T3 to stay at home, you know. So I like to shoot on the tube where, you know, it's a low light situation. I want to shoot at night as well. It's sitting still, and you know, T-Max, whatever, 3200, P-Max 3200, like those films are very, very expensive. So that's why I got it. Just everyday, documentary, fun, portable, you know, fits in my backpack, goes with me everywhere kind of camera. You know, I mean, all the cameras, all Fuji cameras are pretty sexy, but the X100V in particular is sexier than most. And if I don't even use it, then at least I look cool wearing it, right? Am I right? But is it any good? What's the performance like? So the image quality, like guys, come on. The 23mm f2 aspherical lens, I never used the X100F, but the main upgrade on this lens was the sharpness, shot wide open. And honestly, yeah, it is really, really sharp. Like, I don't, there's nothing more to say about it than that. Like, yeah, it's really nice and sharp, wide open. The bokeh looks really nice. It's really soft, like no hard edges in the bokeh. Low light performance, yeah, it's like, it's usable, it's good enough. You know, I'll shoot at maybe 3200, 2000 ISO. Yeah, the ambient light, you know, the street lights are more than enough to get a really nice clean image. Is it night vision like the A7S III? No, obviously not. Like, I don't think any camera compares to that camera. For an everyday sort of prosumer level, the low light capabilities of this camera is pretty darn good. Video quality is great. You know, it's pretty crazy that you can get 4K 60, you can get 1080, 120. A camera that basically looks like a, you know, like a point and shoot can shoot 120, 4K 60, and shoot great stills. You know, it's got a burst mode, like 11 frames per second burst mode. I don't use that often, but there's like tons of features in this tiny little body. Some people, you know, complain about that this costs too much. I think it's around, I don't know, £1,300, but for the build quality, for the quality of the lens, for the built-in ND, for that works in video now as well, plus, you know, the high frame rates, slow motion, and it's a tiny compact body. And on top of that, you get a built-in flash, which actually works really well. I think that's quite a fair price, if I'm being quite honest. You know, especially with the Fuji colors as well. I don't know anyone who's ever complained about Fuji colors. If they have, then I think they're just crazy. They obviously have terrible taste. You know, and now maybe because I'm just so used to Fuji colors, and this is why I'm saying this, and maybe because I'm really super biased, but you know, the past few months I've found a recipe, you know, that I'm getting consistent colors with across all my imagery, you know, film, you know, whether it's shot with the X-T3 or the X100V, and those colors were born out of the color science with Fuji. Yeah, long and short of it, You're gonna love the colors, you're gonna love the image coming out of this tiny dinky little body. And with the high frame rates, you know, this camera can shoot video, it can shoot slow motion, it can shoot stills, you know, it's got a burst rate of 11 frames per second. It can do a lot. In terms of a footprint, it's about the same size as an iPhone, you know, which is pretty crazy. Usability, right. How easy is it to use? Extremely easy. But the only complaint that I have about it, leaf shutter. Even though I love the leaf shutter, you know, a leaf shutter is very silent and it doesn't vibrate much as compared with a mechanical shutter. But the benefit of a leaf shutter is that you can sync your flash at any shutter speed, but also it means that you can shoot at a very slow shutter speed, slower than normal, and still get a very sharp image, because it doesn't introduce that much camera shake. So you can shoot at maybe 1/30th, no problem, 1/15th even, if you're very still. But the problem with it is that leaf shutters can't go very fast. So if you want to go up to like 1/8000th of a second, you have to use like an electronic shutter. It does get slightly annoying because the leaf shutter only goes up to 1/4000th of a second. On a very bright, harsh, sunny day, 1/4000th of a second is sometimes not fast enough. Which means that you have to then use the ND, but then the ND is like, I don't know what it is, like 4 stops. So then you're quickly having to readjust, you know, do you see what I mean? So you go at 1/4000th of a second and then you turn on the ND and then something that's way too dark. And then you have to compensate for the ND and then slow down the shutter speed to like something like 1/2000th of a second. It's a very tiny thing, but it's just like, secondly, switching between video and photo. You know, one of the reasons why I got this camera is because it shoots both video and photo, but it's really annoying switching between the two, because basically you have to press a lot of buttons in order to switch between the two. So you have to press drive, and then you have to press up, and then you're there. So it's like so it's like it's 2 buttons. It's in order to get there. Like, yes, it's a tiny thing, but it would be a lot better if it was just a little switch, you know? Like, why isn't there a switch just to go in between the two? Thirdly, you got to get a thumb grip. Otherwise, it's just very, you know, it's very uncomfortable to use. Got to get a thumb grip because it's very small. Without a thumb grip, this camera becomes like a bar of soap. So yeah, definitely recommend getting a thumb grip. The weather sealing, like, yeah, I've never really used this camera in like super rainy situations. I've used it in sort of heavy drizzle and I've had no problems. So durability, so I have a few nicks, like a few tiny scuffs, like where the paint's come off, but it's so tiny you would have to look very hard in order to see it. Like, if I were to sell this now, it would probably be excellent condition. I don't baby it, but like I chuck it in and out of my bag quite a lot, and I don't put it in a case. And despite that, the body paint has held up really nicely. Maybe it's a bit too soon. Maybe in a year or so, more of the paint will come off. But honestly, I can't really complain. And if you want to talk about durable, this case from Gurries, a lot of you in previous videos where I've covered this Gurries half case, a lot of you shout on it saying that, oh, it's terrible quality. Mine fell apart after a few months or whatever. I use this camera pretty much every day, and the case is, honestly, it looks brand new. I'm not even gonna lie, it looks brand new still. So maybe there's a conspiracy against you. Maybe Gurries doesn't like you and they sent you some shitty ones. I don't know. Maybe they just like me more. A lot of people actually describe this camera as a pocket camera, and you'll quickly learn that this does not fit in your pocket, right? But honestly, I don't care too much about that. Like, I don't need this to literally fit into my pocket. I'm more than happy to have it, you know, just on my shoulder. So let's recap. So performance, image quality looks great, great frame rates, great performance. You can do slow-mo, great low light performance. It's good enough in low light. Video, you can take a whole bunch of cinematic shit. With the built-in ND, you can shoot this in bright sunlight and even get video. Flippy screen, you can get like low angle shots. Like, you do so much with this camera, if I'm being quite honest. So let's move on to things I would like to see. So in the next iteration of the X100V, it'll probably be called the X100VI, I don't know. But what I would love to see in the next one is a video, like, is a mic input, a proper mic input, not this, like a full-size mic input, not this bollocks, like, I don't know what it is, like, 3.5mm, is it 3.5mm? Just the normal mic input, because with this one, yes, you can put in a mic, but then you have to put an adapter for it. Like, who the hell wants to bring an adapter for their microphone? Hate that so much. I'd like to see a video photo switch, just a little button, like a little switch, boop 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 boop, you know, just so that you can switch between photo and video very, very fast. The current setup is annoying, hate it. Honestly, there's not much else I'd like to see. Maybe if it flipped vertically as well, so then you can get low angle vertical shots. Maybe if it had IBIS as well. If it had IBIS, like the X-T4, vertical tilty flip, and it had a proper mic jack, like, this camera would destroy other cameras. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Overall, would I recommend this to you guys? Obviously. Even as it is, even minus all the things that I said I would like it to have, this camera is still incredible. This camera will still do all those jobs. You know, you can still work around it. Like, you know, you could even shoot 10-bit 422 with this if you connected it to an external recorder. And also, for those of you who are interested, I will make this little secret announcement. So early in the year, I talked about a couples project, and I think I'm ready to release it, because I have been working on it, and I think it's finally time to release it. So if you want to stay up to date with it, hit subscribe, keep learning, keep shooting. I'll see you all